Hi, it's Sean here. Um, I want to talk about the transgender restroom thing that's going on right now and people being against it and everything. Look, man, people have their own views, right? But as a trans person, and I'm sure a lot of trans people can identify with this, it's a life or death thing for us, right? To transition most of the time. Like me personally, I was on the verge of suicide if I hadn't transitioned. You know what I mean? I was on the verge of doing something incredibly stupid, and just not wanting to live anymore. And the people who think that they know about trans issues and stuff, or the people that are completely against trans people, are normally the ones, the latter are normally the ones that are saying their beliefs and everything. As a trans person, as a trans man, I go into the men's restroom. I was never comfortable with doing that before I got on testosterone. Okay? And it's because, half these websites and stuff like that talk about these things, that talk about, you know, um, men shouldn't be allowed in women's bathrooms. If you know anything about a trans person, you know, or if you're trans yourself, you know that as a trans person, you were born in the wrong body. You were born with all these different um, hormones and things that didn't even belong to you in the first place. Now, my niece just told me a couple of minutes ago that she almost got into a fight with a person today because they were saying that trans people should burn in hell. My niece is 16. Okay, these people that are totally against it are like teenagers and some adults that are from different generations or have different religious beliefs. That's fine. Okay, but if you don't know anything about being trans, if you don't know anything about what we go through, if you're not, you don't know about those things, then it's best to keep your opinion to yourself because that can affect people on a dramatic level. It can, okay? And it normally does. All these websites and things like that you can go to learn about trans things and everything like that, and especially talking about political issues and things like that, and half of them aren't even true. Half of them aren't what we deal with every single day. Half of them just don't make any sense. So these people that are totally against it and everything, that's cool. If you're against it for a religious belief, that's cool. Okay? I'm not going to try to force my views on anybody else or anything like that. And in my opinion, neither should they. Because I'm sure that a lot of us, me and myself included, right? If we didn't have to go through these things, if we didn't have to physically transition to stay alive and everything, to not kill ourselves, to not be depressed, to be able to fit in a body that we feel like we were supposed to be born with but never were. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if I didn't have to physically transition, I probably wouldn't, because it's a lot harder, you know? That, and there's so much violence against trans people. So much. Especially trans women of color, okay? Definitely. In my opinion, and I explained this to my mom, because she didn't really get it, okay? Uh, I explained this to my mom in a way that made her kind of snap out of it and be like, oh, okay, I get it now. I explained it to her that if I weren't take the physical steps that I need to, I probably wouldn't be alive today. And that's what most of us go through. Okay, so these people that are totally against, trans women, especially going into women's bathrooms, put yourself in their position. Put yourself in our position. Would you want anybody else? Okay, I heard this explained to me like this, okay, right? If you woke up tomorrow, if you're male or female, right? Let's go with male. If you woke up tomorrow and you had parts that did not belong to you, what would you do? Would you go through surgical procedures to get rid of that stuff that didn't belong to you in the first place? And a lot of you can't answer this. And it's because you're not in that position. That's the position that I was in. I was born with these things that never even belonged to me in the first place. So who is somebody to tell somebody else that they shouldn't physically transition because it's unnatural? No, what's unnatural is for me to be born with the parts that I was born with and not be able to get out of them. Or even be born that way to begin with. That's unnatural. That's why it makes me so angry that people are so against this stuff. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's just, it bothers me. I identify as specifically stealth trans man because I see all of these documentaries of people, a lot of them are struck with a lot of physical violence. A couple of them that I watched actually got killed because of who they are. Now that scared me for years, which is why I identify as stealth now. And I'm sure that's what our parents go through when they think about it and stuff like that. I'm sure there's religious beliefs and things of that nature that, make us believe a certain way, okay? But if you don't know anything about what you're talking about or about what you're putting down, then don't say anything. Because that really affects young people, especially. That really affected my niece. She said she got very angry because that's not even how it is. We're not any different than anybody else. Sure, we were born in the wrong bodies, but I'm sure if any of you, felt a certain way that we do, you'd do the same thing as us. But there's no way to tell if you would. Unless you were in that position. For me, being a trans man, I have to go into a male's bathroom, okay? And every day when I go in there, especially in like a smaller area or something, which is where I lived before, everybody knew me. And nobody really bothered me. Nobody really bothered me because a lot of the, people that I used to hang out with always said, I always looked at you as a guy, which is a hell of a compliment, just not the right way of saying it, really. But it just, I don't know, it disgusts me what's going on online and things like that nowadays because it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. I'm sorry, I just had to rant for a minute because it made me so angry that these people are sitting there attacking trans people when they don't even know anything about what we do or why we do it. They just like to voice their opinions on something they don't know anything about. And that's what frustrates me. So yeah, I know this was a very what do you call it? Controversial subject. I know a lot of people have a lot of different views, but as a trans man, those are my views. Okay? And I'm not looking for any fights on this particular subject. I'm just putting it out there what I believe in and how I believe in it. If you guys don't have the same beliefs, that's awesome. Good for you. But don't try to push yours on mine. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you later.